Now, the Lil Rodney case and story. I've been contemplating on whether or not I should even cover this case, but after pondering on it for a little bit, I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned from this very specific situation. I want to give a shout out to Lovely T for this one. She made a video on it that I watched, and I did get a little bit of information from her video. Big shout out to Lovely T. She has an amazing channel. I'll leave a link to her video in the description below. But Lil Rodney, the case, the story. Let's not waste any time and let's talk about it. Now, Lil Rodney, aka 30 Shots, aka Baby Savage, a 12-year-old Texas rapper who's been making some headlines for these past couple weeks. Unfortunately, it ain't because of the music though. I wish it was. The headline reads as following: 12-year-old Fort Worth rapper sentenced to 7 years over shooting 1-year-old. A 12-year-old aspiring rapper from Fort Worth, Texas is behind bars after shooting a 1-year-old child. According to the Dallas Observer, the juvenile has been looking to break into the rap game and performs under the stage names Lil Rodney, Baby Savage, and 30 Shots. He was sentenced to 7 years in a juvenile detention facility in September for shooting a 1-year-old child that survived the incident. Now, Lil Rodney, as you can imagine, is a problematic little 12-year-old. Unfortunately, has an extensive criminal record. Like I said earlier, he went viral for this specific story around 2 weeks ago when a Zoom conference trial started going viral on social media. In this conference Zoom call, we have Lil Rodney in front of Judge Kim Alex.
This last time we let you out, Mr. Spence, when was the last time we let him out?
Your Honor, he cut his monitor on 8/14 of this year and ran.
Okay, so about 6 weeks ago, cut off his monitor and ran, even though he promised me he wouldn't. Right? So now there is evidently a new charge that was filed relating back to April. And that's the one where he shot the 1-year-old? Mr. Spence?
Yes, Your Honor, it is.
Like a 1-year-old baby?
Yes.
Okay.
Lil Rodney was being sentenced for a crime involving him, as you could very clearly hear. I don't have to say it again because it really turns my stomach upside down and makes me sick to my stomach. Prior to this, Judge Kim had given Lil Rodney chance after chance after chance, but he never seemed to change. He had been let off the hook multiple times in the past for his wrongdoings, but this moment right here was when all that changed.
All right, so he's on probation for arson. He's accused of shooting a baby at 11 years old. And then we bring him back in. He's been on the run, and he's smoking weed.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Anything else I'm missing about him?
Nope, that's about it, Your Honor.
A bad little kid who didn't realize that his actions were eventually gonna catch up to him. I want you to pay close attention to this conference call and pay very close attention to the energy Judge Kim is giving off. In a strange way, he doesn't really sound like how a judge would typically sound. I'm talking about that cold, emotionless, non-sympathetic attitude a lot of judges seem to have because they can't sympathize with whoever is standing in front of them. If they do, they won't be able to do their job like they're supposed to. Judge Kim, to me, sounds more like a disappointed parent who's heartbroken because they've now came to a place where they have to show their child that their actions do in fact come with real life consequences.
Well, I don't know, but I was trying to see, could you at least give me one more chance and then see if this time I mess up, you should like hold me for some months.
Yeah, but didn't you say that last time? You told me to hold you for a year last time if I mess up, didn't you?
I never said that. I don't remember.
What? Yeah, you told me that I can hold you next time. Give me one more chance. Actually, you said that two times. So, and remember, the last time I said, well, that's what you said last time. Why should I believe you this time?
Lil Rodney had already been on the run before this and violated the terms of his probation by cutting off his ankle monitor. In this next part right here, he explains why he decided to do that.
And I asked Mr. Spence, and he said no. And then I missed JV and stuff because I was in here. And every time I miss one of my friends. So I tried to go to the funeral. And Mike didn't let me go because I didn't know my friend's last name. And then I just had to because I didn't want to more.
Rodney, I think Judge understands your point at this point. Okay.
So they want guns at the funeral? Is that where you're trying to go?
No, that was a long time after the funeral,
Right?
Your Honor.
So you went to a funeral for a friend, but you don't know the friend's last name?
No, because we all go by nicknames and everybody noticed. And then he said I couldn't go because I didn't know the last name. And that hurt. I missed so many events.
Now, on top of Judge Kim giving Lil Rodney multiple opportunities to make his wrongs right, during this period of him being on the run, he was on social media towing guns, which is something the judge, understandably, obviously was noticeably upset at.
Niggas that big ass clock. Niggas is bitches, boy. Okay. Y'all niggas, boy. Y'all go see that big ass clock to y'all ass. I ain't have no gun in my way. Now the nigga come get at me now. Yeah. And that nigga that was with him, just for doing all that. Yeah. Niggas know, nigga. Yeah. Nigga, ass boy, yeah.
I asked for time out for it. I was never gonna cut it. I would have.
Hey, Rodney. Okay.
Rodney,
Okay.
you told me you're not going to lie.
No.
Ronnie, I'm really tired of you lying to me. I just said, I'm tired of, like, every time you come in here, you cry. You know that, right? Like, every single time you come in here, you cried. And every single time you've begged me for one more chance because you swear to God, on my mama's name, I'm not going to cut off the monitor. I'm not going to run off. Like, every single time.
I did my two.
This, right?
Yes, and then, but look, I'm not even lying. Only God knows, my papa knows, and Mr. Spears knows why I cut off that EM.
Yeah, what I can't figure out is why you're always lying to me, and every time you tell me that you're not going to lie. Grandpa, you remember those conversations, right?
Quite well, sir. Yes, sir.
Every single time he promised me, I swear to God. You know, God's got to be angry with you swearing to him so many times.
But Papa, why did I cut it?
No, it's not about you cutting. I'm talking about why you're lying to me. That's what I'm talking about right now. Right? Like every time you think, here's the thing, right? The first time you came in here and you cried, like you were bawling, right? And you were crying, and I felt sorry for you because you're just this little kid that I thought was crying. And then now I'm realizing you just cry every single time. I don't think they're fake tears. I think you're really crying. But you cry every time. It's because you're a kid. You're 11 years old. I'm sorry. Now you're 12 years old. Right? And that's my problem is I don't like little 11 and 12-year-olds here because you're just immature. I mean, you're a baby. And so now, but the thing is, Rodney, if you want to be treated like an adult, you do adult things, and then you're asking me to treat you like an adult. So I don't know why you cry so much. Right? I mean, you going around pointing guns, and now you're accused of shooting a little kid. And then I know what's going on. I know what's going on over at Parks Mall.
Now, there's always one thing we should always laser focus on when we see cases like this, and that one thing is the household. A couple questions are floating around my head right now. The first one is, what was Lil Rodney's upbringing like? Did he have any guidance within his household? Did he have a good environment to flourish in as a little boy? Considering what we've seen from him so far, that answer is unfortunately, of course, no. Lil Rodney's mother had him when she was 16. His biological father was never present in his life. His mother has also been locked up twice when he was really young, so he never really had any kind of positive role models to learn from. In a lot of cases like this, when the parents aren't present either physically or mentally through mentorship, advice, and overall guidance, their friends can a lot of times unintentionally take on that role. Lil Rodney has obviously been rolling with some guys who are deeply into the street life, and these guys are presumably older than him, so they've now became his father figure, and he's been shaped character-wise after them. As a little kid like him, this is definitely not the way to live, man. He unfortunately hasn't had a single positive influence in terms of person in his life. The guy's 12 yet is out here rapping about pulling up on ops and, fucking that niggas bitch and doing this and doing that. That part sounds funny when you say it out loud, but really take a look at where it brought him. He's a product of his environment, was unfortunately set to fail ever since he came out the womb. Apart from the no guidance part that I think is the single most detrimental part of his case. A lot of this is simply the result of what he's seen from the people around him. This is the way everyone around him has been operating as long as he's been alive. He simply doesn't know any better. On the other hand, I know a lot of bad 12-year-old kids who are not out here shooting babies. With that being said, this kid should obviously not be out here with the rest of the civilization because he's a ticking time bomb. He needs, okay, he desperately needs some sort of mental healing. He needs therapy. He needs to get detoxed of this street nigga mentality that's taken over his entire brain. That mentality has absolutely just poisoned his young mind, and you can easily tell that he's not all the way in because he was acting out on Instagram and then crying in front of the judge. This is a hard cycle to break out of. That's why you hear stories about people getting stuck in the system for the entirety of their lives. That's a real thing. When you've been brought up to have this kind of mindset, breaking out of it is close to impossible, unfortunately, especially when you don't have a strong masculine figure present in your household. Having a father figure in your environment doesn't have to be your biological father, but simply a positive influence that's close to you that you can look at and emulate as you grow up as a little boy. That's key stuff, man. It'll simply ground you and it'll keep you away from a lot of trouble. As a side note, this is just an assessment of his situation, definitely not making excuses for him, because at the end of the day, he's not a victim. At the end of the day, he did something awful, to say the least. I feel sorry for the baby here, and like I said earlier, him being out in society is not good for anyone, including him, okay? That's a given. The judge actually did him a huge favor by not letting him off the hook, because sadly he would most likely end up in jail for the rest of his life, or even worse, in a coffin. With that being said, I do think looking at someone like Lil Rodney and subjecting his case to, he just needs to be behind bars is definitely dismissive, although I do agree with that, don't get me wrong. The elephant in the room here is the fact that he just hasn't had any guidance, man. That's what it is. A lot of kids nowadays, okay, a lot of kids nowadays grow up like this, especially in the black community. We gotta do better, man. This is what happens when parents are not either physically or mentally present in their kids' lives. They start looking at other people, okay? They start looking outwards, okay, outside of their household if they can't find that guidance within their household. There's a lot of people growing up and grew up in similar living situations. Hey, you might be one of them. They maybe didn't have a positive influence around them to emulate, but despite that, they ended up becoming productive members of society because they made something of themselves despite their circumstances. I know tons of people like that, but the cold hard truth is the more cards you have stacked up against you, the lesser of a percentage it is that outcome actually comes to fruition. Lil Rodney, aka 30 Shots, aka Baby Savage, is a product of his environment. He's gonna be trapped in the system until he's close to 20 years old. The question is, will he come out as a changed man? Only if he has the right tools available to flourish behind bars as a young boy, and the most important part, only if he's ready to apply himself. But yeah, the Lil Rodney case and story. What do you think about this entire situation? I'm guessing you probably have a thing or two to say about it, so don't be shy. Drop a comment. Definitely let me know in the comment section below and let's have a discussion about this.